As Gooseworx wrote in Tumblr, the 5th episode will be the calm before the storm, and I think that this storm will be the 6th episode. However, there isn't a lot of information about it, so the theories about what will happen there will be very vague, and it will be exclusively my guesses about how scary and crazy it will be. In this video, I will discuss what will happen to Jax and Ragatha in episode 6, what new NPCs will be introduced there, and how the old adventures created by Cain relate to it. Speaking of the new adventure, it seems to me that the location of the episode 6 adventure will be, oddly enough, the location that Cain already wanted to show us in the previous 4th episode. Of course, I'm talking about the location of the second scary adventure, The Curse of the Mad Psycho Butcher. However, we also can't forget about the theme of the entire new episode. After all, when asked by subscribers about what episode 5 will be like, Gooseworx replied that the next episode will be quite smooth, like the calm before the storm. This comment should not be left unheeded. My opinion is that this storm will happen exactly in episode 6, and it will most likely be an overlay of a love line over a very violent adventure. Have I intrigued you? Let's try to visualize how the events in episode 6 will unfold. The episode will start off as usual. I think the beginning of the episode will be similar to episode 4, in that Gangle will be stripped of her comedy mask. I have a few thoughts on this. The episode would start with Jax or NPC dummies breaking Gangle's comedy mask, while the main characters play inside the digital circus tent in some sort of game. The second option is that after the final episode 4 finale, Gangle was able to feel that she doesn't need the mask of comedy to feel positive emotions. Therefore, she will now simply stop putting on the comedy mask. From now on, Gangle will be in a more relaxed and neutral state of mind. This will have a positive effect on her well-being and relationships with other characters. Judging from previous episodes, when the main characters aren't busy having adventures, they are often interested in each other's ways of spending time. I believe that at the beginning of episode 6, Ragatha and Pomni will remember that Jax has, in his own words, the keys to every room in the circus tent. The rest of the characters have long known what each room looks like. Episode 6 will begin with a tour of all the rooms for Pomni and the audience. This will be a great moment for Jax to break the 4th wall again. It's going to be a fascinating spectacle. It's worth considering that the creators will clearly emphasize Jax's room. I'm sure Jax is keeping the contents of his room a secret, just as he hides his special ability that activates during breath holding from everyone. He's clearly going to try to keep other characters, especially Ragatha, out of his suite. This is all because his entire room is covered in portraits, posters, and photos of Ragatha. After all, it would be such an embarrassment for Jax. And so he immediately decides to embark on the most terrifying and unfunny adventure that Cain will offer. Most likely, it will be Jax who will offer the artificial intelligence an idea with a forgotten location that can still be involved. Once the main characters are in the creepy new location, Cain will say that he's taken into account their desire to be on a team with some NPCs they particularly like. Cain will invite the characters to an off-map room similar to the one Pomni and Gummigoo were in episode 2. Cain will ask each character to choose an NPC to be in the company of for the adventure. At this point, we finally find out if there is an NPC that Jax likes. Jax was usually cruel to all NPCs without exception. After that, the main character's task will be to find more weapons on the location and get out with the NPC from the house where the crazy butcher lives. After the release of the 4th episode, we realize that significant attention in the show will be paid not only to Pomni. In fact, the idea of revealing characters that at first glance seem secondary to us, which started back in episode 2, will be continued in the new episodes. I'm referring to the scene in the basement of the mansion that we were introduced to Hell. That was the first moment where we learned details of Kinger's past. In that scene, we learned that he was a pretty good computer technician, and he had a loving wife who, even after being abstracted for literally 1 moment, regained control of his body, allowing Kinger to relive the last moments of his conscious life with his beloved. For after the loss of Queenie, Kinger could no longer remain sane all the time, his true personality only returning to him in the dark. That's how we learned that the abstracted have emotions, albeit muted. And it's not just anger and rage, but love as well. In episode 4, we spent the entire adventure not with the gradually increasing craziness of Pomni, but with the happy masked Gangle. How to say happy, though? It wasn't Gangle's real identity, but merely a deception of those around her. We learned that Gangle's sad mask can laugh, and we also saw a lot of clues and passphrases that help us understand what happens next. For example, the way Regatha behaved while under the influence of dumb sauce can't be explained by normal intoxication. After all, she was lazy, insulted others, and said a lot of phrases that could not just fly past the ears, but exactly hurt the sensitive soul of other characters. This fact showed us that in the 5th and 6th episodes, Regatha will not be as much of a doormat as she was before. And what about Jax, you ask? I am sure that in the 6th episode we will be revealed all the mysteries of Jax's character. And for that, Jax will have to go through the way of correcting all the mistakes and rethinking his behavior with the rest of the characters. Because making Jax angrier and angrier doesn't really help the story. And also, we might have noticed a very important detail that proves my point. In the 4th episode, Jax is not as evil as he usually is. He doesn't mock Ragatha when she's lying on the floor intoxicated. He just says she's not herself even when the doll tries to annoy him with the phrase,
I, hate you, but I don't want you to hate me. Is that weird?
Also, Jax simply and dejectedly says goodbye to Pomni. She's also surprised at the depersonalizing effect work has on people. I also have a theory that there will be a love line in the amazing digital circus. It will start, I think, in episode 6, and we'll be shown the premise of it in episode 5. In fact, as Gooseworx wrote to us in Tumblr, the 5th and 6th episodes will be roughly evenly split between Ragatha and Jax. This can only mean one thing. These characters of different genders will be connected somehow, and I hope that this connection will be strong enough and based on positive emotions. So, in episode 6, they will already be brought together. However, a lot of contradictions can be seen between Ragatha and Jax at the moment. Ragatha believes that for the good of all characters need to be kind to each other and avoid conflicts. Ragatha's biggest worry is that if the characters spend too long and painfully figuring things out between themselves and thinking about their feelings, they might all go crazy and become abstracted. Jax has resigned himself to taking the place of a loner and not actively seeking to bond with other characters. During his argument with Regatha, he tries to explain that he believes Regatha's accusations are baseless. She accuses him of doing bad things, but he explicitly states that he is the bad guy. Because of this difference of opinion, Jax is the only character who can easily piss Regatha off. Therefore, I think the rapprochement between Regatha and Jax will happen with the help of Pomni. What are your thoughts on this? What will the adventure be like in episode 6? Will Cain make use of the Psycho Butcher? How will Jax change, and will he be able to mend his relationships with the other characters? Write your thoughts and theories in the comments. Remember that I read all comments under my videos. The best comments will make it into the new videos. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck everyone, and bye-bye!